If World War III happens in the next few years, it will most likely be because of this company. Yes, you didn't hear that wrong. A company on a small island that the United States is ready to bomb flat if it ever falls into enemy hands. This isn't just a conspiracy theory or fear-mongering. This is a strategic statement that, honestly, is terrifying. Because some people have literally said this. I would rather see the global economy collapse and humanity go back to the Stone Age than let this technology fall into China's hands. The company is called TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. And basically, it's just a factory. But they have that much power because TSMC is not just any factory. For those who understand, they are basically the heart of digital civilization. Look at the phone in your hand, the laptop you use for work, electric cars, even smart missiles and military satellites. All of them need a brain, what we call a chip. And here's the terrifying fact. 92% of the world's most advanced chips can only be made in one place, TSMC. In 2021, Taiwan had a massive drought. TSMC's factories need about 156,000 tons of clean water every single day just to wash silicon wafers. At that time, the government was willing to cut water supplies to thousands of hectares of farmland just to keep TSMC running. They also consume 7% of Taiwan's total electricity. This is one company, because if they stopped production for just one day, the global economy is estimated to lose $5 billion per day. This is the real kill switch of the world economy. Some people even say this is the most important company in human history. So today, we're going to break down why this company is truly irreplaceable, even by giants like Samsung and Intel, and why they control the future of global technology to the point where they could trigger World War III. Let's not be naive. The US and China are very clearly punching each other right now. Whoever controls this technology will control the global economy. Ray Dalio, the legendary investor and founder of Bridgewater Associates, said the same thing in his book. Whoever wins the technology race will win the economic war, because World War III won't look like past wars. No more land grabs and oil fields with soldiers shooting each other. That's old school. Today, the deadliest weapon isn't nuclear bombs. It's AI chips. These chips allow missiles and drones to find targets on their own, dominate a country without even being there, or completely disable a nation's defense systems. But for everyday people like us, how important are chips really? Listen to this data. The global semiconductor industry is only worth a few $100 billion, at most 1 to 2 trillion. But this small industry enables a global economy worth over $100 trillion. Almost 100% of modern civilization depends on this tiny object. TSMC alone has a market value of around $1 trillion. And now I understand why global institutional investors are desperate to get into TSMC and even treat it like a safe haven. Simply put, because the future of the world depends on chips, China is extremely hungry for them. Don't forget, China has a vision called the 100-year marathon. They openly say they want to become the world's #1 superpower by 2049. And China knows they can't become ruler of the world if the brains of all their weapons are still made in territory controlled by the US. But TSMC's situation is partly unlucky. China didn't originally want to invade Taiwan purely because of TSMC. But recently, China's military has been simulating something called the Anaconda strategy. Instead of direct invasion, they would strangle Taiwan through sea and air blockades until Taiwan suffocates and surrenders. And this is terrifying, because with TSMC in Taiwan, the world, especially the US, would rather go to war than let China control it. But the most interesting part is TSMC's origin story and why they became so dominant. It actually started with revenge. Why can TSMC do what others can't? It's not just money. Samsung and Intel have tried. The secret lies with one man, Morris Chang. Imagine this. He was 54 years old when most people think about retirement, and he had just been discarded by Texas Instruments. He was Taiwanese, worked in the US for 25 years building chip businesses from zero. But because he was an engineer and too technical, he was never made CEO. So he left. In 1987, Taiwan made a brilliant move. The Minister of Economics, Li Kuo-ting, came to him with a crazy offer. We don't have natural resources, so we will build the industry of the future. Here's a blank check. You lead it. Morris received $220 million in starting capital, 48% from the Taiwanese government, 27% forced from Dutch giant Philips, and the rest from local conglomerates who didn't even understand what chips were. TSMC started by making 3-micron chips. For perspective, that's 1,000 times larger than today's 3-nanometer chips. Morris was realistic. Taiwan didn't have the talent to design chips like NVIDIA or Apple, so he created the pure play foundry model. I don't want to design, I want to be the best tailor in the world. Back then this sounded stupid. Intel and AMD laughed. Because at the time, if you designed chips, you also manufactured them. Design was the prestigious job, manufacturing was not. That stupidity became their greatest strength. Now here's the first moat, and we need to understand what a moat is. In business, a moat is a protective barrier, like the water surrounding a medieval castle, that makes it extremely difficult for competitors to attack or replace you. It's a long-term competitive advantage. TSMC's first moat was trust and neutrality. Early on, TSMC only made simple chips for calculators and low-end electronics. Meanwhile, Intel was king. Intel's legendary CEO, Andy Grove, sent an audit team to inspect TSMC's factory. They found over 200 major deficiencies. They concluded the factory was not fit to produce Intel chips. That was the turning point. Morris Chang forced his engineers to fix all 200 issues in record time. When Intel returned, they were shocked. TSMC exceeded Intel's standards. That approval became a seal of trust. Because TSMC doesn't design chips, it only manufactures, it remains neutral. Apple doesn't fear its designs being stolen. But if Apple manufactured at Samsung, that would be risky because Samsung makes competing products. That neutrality built enormous trust, and that trust became irreplaceable. The second moat is the learning curve. For 40 years, they only did manufacturing. Temperature, humidity, vibration, everything was optimized. Tens of thousands of engineers specialized only in manufacturing. Samsung uses the same ASML machines, but TSMC gets far more out of them. The third moat cannot be copied. 50,000 elite engineers. If a $350 million machine breaks at 3 a.m., PhDs must be in the factory within 20 minutes. The US tried to copy this in Arizona. They failed, because war culture cannot be cloned. TSMC is insane. No company can come close. They make over $30 billion in profit from $75 billion in revenue. 40% net margins for a factory. In 2024 alone, they spent $32 billion on ASML machines. TSMC is called the Silicon Shield. Whoever controls it controls the future economy. China has the Anaconda strategy. America has the broken nest. US military analysts openly say, if China invades and Taiwan is about to fall, the US must destroy TSMC completely. Scorched earth. If we can't have it, no one can. They would rather trigger a global depression worse than 2008 than let China dominate AI alone. For us, a $700 laptop becomes $7,000. Cheap phones become luxury goods. Digital civilization goes back a decade. All because of one company that focused on one thing: being the best manufacturer in history. They are no longer a tech company. They are the most fragile balance point in human civilization. Hopefully this never happens. So what do you think? See you next video.